Wife confessed she's a lesbian, shattered our plans for the future, and offered me a S-xless marriage with casual partners. We've been together for 10 years, married for 4. She was / is the love of my life, and the thought of living life without her is unbearable. Yesterday morning I woke up, noticed her sitting on the patio crying, so I obviously went to go console her and figure out what was wrong. While fighting back tears, she manages to tell me that she's a lesbian and she's so sorry. She isn't attracted to me anymore, but she also doesn't want to leave me. I've always known she was into women as well, but it was never an issue for me. We've had quite a few threesomes with different women over the years and they've all been amazing. I've even been fine with her exploring that side of herself with other women without me. I just wanted her to be happy and fulfilled. The entire day was spent either crying or talking about our now uncertain future. All the plans we had made about buying a home, travel, getting dogs and cats, retirement, went up in smoke. We had a fantastic sex life up until just a few days ago. We would have sex at least a few times a week and we rarely failed to get each other off. We experimented and grew with each other over the years, exploring new kinks and figuring out new ways to please one another. I told her I didn't blame her, that if she really is a lesbian it's not her fault and she hasn't really done anything wrong. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. She's my best friend. We had / have such a wonderful, supportive relationship and we've been through so fucking much together. I can't stand the thought of losing her and starting over. She said she doesn't want to leave me, that she still wants a future with me, just without the sex. But she also understands how unfair that is to me, so she's fine with me finding a fuck buddy or two if I want it. All I really want is her though. I'm so insanely attracted to her and I make sure to tell her so every day. She's the sexiest woman in the world to me, but finding out that attraction is one-sided has obviously shattered my heart and crippled my self-esteem. I don't know what to do. I'm certain most of the comments I get will be along the lines of move on or the classic lawyer up, start hitting the gym, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. I'm praying she's going to wake up and realize she made a mistake, that she's just overwhelmed and confused. Deep down I know that's not how this works, but the wounds are still so fresh I'm grasping at any little straws of hope I can find. We don't have any kids, all our pets have passed away, but we did just move into a new house last week so we may be stuck together until next March at least. I just want my wife back. Oop, we're definitely going to do that. We have had a few sessions in the past and it's always helped. All I really want is her though. I'm so insanely attracted to her and I make sure to tell her so every day. She's the sexiest woman in the world to me, but finding out that attraction is one-sided has obviously shattered my heart and crippled my self-esteem. I don't know what to do. This is why you're going to have to eventually leave. It's too much of a burden to live with. Can you imagine every day, being so close to someone you love like that and being unable to be with them? Not just sex, I think you know what I mean. Can you imagine listening to her get off with someone else? It was hot when you were doing it as an activity together, but it'll be different going forward. Right now, you might be against hearing any advice to move on, and that's fine. But it's a special kind of hell you're about to enter. You won't even begin to heal until you've had a clean break and some time to process everything. Source: my brother's brother, his dad and another woman's kid, killed himself over something very close to what you're describing. Update 1. It seems like just yesterday I was mentally formulating a 1-year update for this situation and here we are at the 2-year mark. Crazy. This won't be juicy or drama-filled. No big revelations or tea to be sipped. Sorry to disappoint. 2 years ago, one seemingly random Sunday morning, my wife and partner of a decade chose to inform me she had come to terms with her sexuality. She was gay. I thought I had known heartbreak, seeing as how my first girlfriend went to visit her home country and never came back. She, instead, got married and had many children. Right up that random Sunday morning, that was the worst thing I had gone through, the hardest situation I had been forced to endure. Hearing those words come out of my wife's mouth, my entire reality unraveled in what seemed like both an instant and an eternity. I fought for 2 months to come up with some way for us to remain together. Any compromise. Any idea. Any situation. I would have done literally anything to keep her. Grief really can override any and all inherent reason or logic one may have. I now know we were doomed from the start, but I, obviously, refused to believe it. She officially ended it in May of 2023. The entire nightmare was amplified by the devastating cancer diagnosis my stepfather had been given, of which I was informed 2 or 3 days after my wife's admission. I want to highlight more of my stepdad in this update because he was truly an incredible, accomplished, kind, hilarious man. His name was Norman Armour. He was an artist, actor, director, producer, and founder of the Pooh Festival, an annual international performing arts festival in Vancouver, which just celebrated its 20th anniversary. He acted in some fairly big projects too. He played the officiant in Saving Silverman with Jason Biggs, Jack Black, and Steve Zahn. He played the main villain in an episode of Supernatural, the ghost of an evil insane asylum doctor. And he played a literary enthusiast in Capote and got to share the screen with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Regarding that last role, I remember being a teenager and watching a lot of Conan O'Brien's Late Show. One particular night the guest was none other than Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was promoting Capote at the time. If you're unfamiliar with the talk show formula, actors will bring in clips of their latest project to promote it, and the scene he brought was Norman's scene. Norman had a monologue for maybe a minute and then Capote responds. I lost my mind. I wasn't even aware he had acted in Capote, and there he is on my TV at 1 a.m. on The Late Show with Conan. He was so humble and worked in so many fields that he didn't even feel the need to brag about acting in Capote. Or maybe he just forgot to tell me. He passed away in November of 2023. His celebration of life was held at the Vancouver Playhouse, a nearly 700-seat venue. There wasn't an empty seat. Not only was there nearly 700 in attendance, it was live streamed to countless more. We should all be so lucky as to have that sort of turnout for our final send-off. My ex, her parents and my current girlfriend were all in attendance. Now back to myself. Shortly after Norman's passing, I matched with someone on an unnamed dating app, who became my savior, my partner, my everything. I was in the worst place in my life at the time. Still suffering from grief, depression, newfound anxieties, nightmares and severe loneliness. I still had good friends and a wonderful family, but things were so up and down I had been toying with the idea of ending it all. She changed all that. She was / everything I thought my ex was. But for real. She is caring, compassionate, emotionally mature, honest, empathetic, way smarter than me, successful, incredibly talented, funny, and we genuinely enjoy every moment we get with each other. We inspire each other. We communicate. We have each other's backs. During the early weeks of everything happening, I was still working for a small glass fabrication company, but with everything that happened, I was clearly not myself, and my asshat of a boss had made it clear he didn't care what I was going through. He wanted me to show up, work my ass off, and also train a team of new hires. I could barely get through a shift without crying, and he expected me to train these teenagers, one of whom barely spoke English. On top of that, I was still dealing with the ramifications of a devastating workplace injury where my foot had been crushed by a literal ton of glass a year prior. 4 broken bones, nerve and tendon damage, 6 months off work, and I basically had to relearn how to walk. But that's a whole different story. I ended up quitting that shit show and went 3 months without employment. Until, through some good friends, I was able to score an interview for guitar quality control at a large music retailer. A dream job. I'm fairly lucky in the sense that I've never interviewed for a job and not gotten it. And I did get this one too. It was great, but didn't pay quite enough. So, after 6 months, I took a risk and transferred to a different location for a bit more money and shorter commute in the position of shipper/receiver. I regretted it almost immediately. Guitar QC was the chillest, most incredible job I had ever had. I almost couldn't believe they were paying me to do it. But being a shipper/receiver was god-awful. There were good days and bad, but the bad were terrible. I was kicking myself daily for taking this job. Until this location's guitar technician decided to quit. I immediately threw my name in the hat and once again, nailed an interview for the position, which I got. I've been doing this since November. It's a dream come true. I have my own office. I get to fix guitars, basses, banjos, mandolins, ukuleles all day every day, and I have to constantly pinch myself to make sure it's all real. It vindicated my decision to swap locations. The universe put me through the ringer and finally decided to cut me a break. I moved in with my new partner earlier this week. It was really emotionally heavy to go through the last house and clear out all my stuff. Wandering through it, I relived every traumatic moment with my ex like it was an instant replay. Parts of it still haunt me, but not having to live in that space anymore has already done wonders for my overall mental health. So that's basically it. I went from, by far, the lowest point in my life, to the highest in a span of 2 years. I love my relationship, I love my job. I'm going to Vegas next week with my best friend and his groomsmen, and later this year I get to be best man at his wedding. My ex and I are still on good terms. I occasionally catch myself thinking hateful thoughts about her, but really try to suppress them because I don't enjoy feeling hate. I want her to have a happy, fulfilling life. In my last update I mentioned starting a channel with a buddy. That unfortunately didn't end up going anywhere, but I have 2 new ones with my girlfriend that are already more popular, not mentioning their names though. Oh. There was also the nice little bonus of a $31,000 settlement from that work injury I finally received in January. That has eased a lot of the financial burden that comes with living in Vancouver. Update 2. So, if you told me 2.5 years ago, when my life was in freefall, my marriage was ending, and I was hobbling around on a mangled foot, that my biggest stress today would be whether or not I overwatered the monstera at my new place, I would have probably thrown my coffee at you. We've come a long way, folks. And genuinely, buckle up, because this update is one hell of a ride. I bet that's the last twist you expected. Before anyone calls me a masochist, hear me out. After moving out, I went radio silent with the ex for a few months. It was healthy, chilling, and gave both of us much needed space. But Vancouver is a tiny, intersectional circus when it comes to mutual friends. We kept running into each other, art shows, parks, queer trivia nights, yep, even at a vet's office. We both volunteer at the same animal rescue, which we learned the most awkward/scenic way possible. Over time, it moved from uncomfortable head nod to full 2-hour chat over lattes. The weirdness faded, surprisingly quickly. We're not besties, but we found this new hybrid relationship, ex-lovers, deeply supportive friends, occasional dog co-parents. Her partner, a wonderful woman named M, was actually the one who suggested we try fostering a dog together, since they have a hectic work schedule. So, enter Willow, a chess-hustling, cheese-obsessed, one-eyed golden retriever with the emotional intelligence of Carl Sagan and the personal hygiene of a Muppet. We both adore her. Our weird little extended chosen family takes her hiking every other weekend. Not, like, problematic influencer viral, but the wholesome kind. The kind where my girlfriend films me effortlessly restringing a 12-string acoustic in under 8 minutes, flex, and then overlaying it with commentary about learning new skills as a couple. The video racked up 5 million views. It was bananas. We woke up to hundreds of messages, offers from brands, some cool, some MLMs, one deeply concerning custom foot pic proposal, and even a couple requests to appear on local media. I'm not in it for the clout, honestly. But it was a trip watching people root for us, especially so soon after the documentary in miniature that was my last 2 years. The universe has a sense of humor, for sure. We decided to actually make something of it, turning it into a candid post-divorce healing, adulting, for dummies, and the wild adventures of figuring out van life with 2 cats, a deeply anxious golden retriever, and way too many instruments channel. I even got a sponsorship from a small Canadian luthiers guild, shout out, you beautiful, wood-obsessed folks. Now for the real stuff, my foot. After getting the $31,000 settlement, I did something I was terrified of. I went to see a physical therapist with a reputation for being a miracle worker, and terrifyingly honest. She's ex-military, calls me trooper, and brooks no whining. She asked me, on day 1, if I wanted to walk or run again. I told her, just walk without wincing. She scoffed, then made me run/walk 12 blocks to the nearest coffee cart. Reader, I almost died. But by month 6, I was jogging short distances. She encouraged me to join a rec soccer league for new players. Half the guys out there are 20 years older, all better than me. But hell, I'm running, laughing, falling, and getting back up. The mind-body stuff has been a revelation. I never realized how much of my mood, anger, and fog was tied to ongoing physical pain. A leech, day in and day out. Vegas with my best friend's bachelor crew was a full fever dream. I'm not a gambler, but someone dared me to enter a poker tournament, with a $20 buy-in. Let's not get dramatic. I ended up at the final table, losing dramatically with a full house to some guy with quad queens. It turns out, that guy runs a local music nonprofit. We do the where you from, what you do stuff, and next thing I know I'm roped into volunteering for their summer street festival. Which lands me a luthier tent and a spot on the free music stage, one of the best weekends of my life. I started a tiny side hustle, too, repairing battered guitars and teaching basic maintenance for students who can't afford private repairs. Circle of life, etc. And the wedding? Turns out, giving a best man speech when you're low-key terrified of public speaking but now semi-viral online is weird. But I crushed it, and I only cried twice. Losing Norman was and will always be the hardest thing I've experienced. But another turn, his festival, Pooh SH, honored him this past winter with a dedicated show and a memorial art installation. I participated, contributing a video tribute, and helped organize a charity auction of some of his favorite stage props. The final tally was over $40,000 for cancer research and performing arts grants. If you ever find yourself in downtown Vancouver, you can see N.A.'s Ghost Light at the Playhouse. With my ex, we found a bizarre but beautiful new piece. Seriously, people should talk more about divorce/dissolution that isn't just a wasteland. She and M are thriving, and we celebrate each other's milestones. No bitterness left, honestly. With my girlfriend? We're talking about a soft proposal at the end of the year, maybe a custom guitar or some wild Pacific Northwest trip, ring optional. I still catch myself mourning what was lost, those endless plans for a future that aren't mine anymore. But I've learned, with a lot of therapy, and more than a little accidental TikTok fame, that what's ahead isn't a consolation prize. It's different, but just as full of potential. TLDR, I got a weird little dog, went viral restringing a 12-string, can almost run again, not pretty, but it counts, made peace with my ex, found gratitude for what I have, and accidentally became a minor local luthier celebrity. Bring on whatever's next, I'm ready for it. Update 3. I honestly wasn't sure I'd write again, but a lot of you messaged asking for another update, and, truthfully, I hope to deliver something as wild and oddly beautiful as what the past 8 months have thrown at me. Settle in, I promise, there is more drama, some actual revelations, and at least one story about being mistaken for a professional wrestler. Don't ask. Or do. Let's start with the thing that takes up half my waking life now, the channel. Apparently, quirky, slightly tragic guitar guy with emotional range and a dog that looks like she's seen beyond the veil was the content Vancouver didn't know it needed. Things didn't just keep going viral, they snowballed. One video where my girlfriend tried to teach Willow basic fetch with an old tambourine hit almost 5 million views. You can thank the 15 seconds where Willow just sat there, tambourine in mouth, staring unblinkingly into the camera. It became a meme. Someone auto-tuned it and messaged us to use it as our theme. Suddenly, we're the dog and banjo people. I got stopped 3 times in a week at Whole Foods by people asking for Willow merch. Yes, okay, we made stickers. Do I feel weird selling stickers of a one-eyed golden with vegetables on her head? Not as weird as I should. Did it help pay for her surgery? Absolutely, but here's where it goes from wholesome to nuts. CBC, then CTV, both reached out for local news spots. My girlfriend and I ended up on 2 different morning shows doing awkward, banjo-accompanied Q&A sessions about healing, through music and pets after divorce and loss. Ridiculous, humbling, and proof that daytime TV hosts can dish out more psychoanalysis than my last therapist. I'm now the guitar tech who cried on live TV when his dog barked at the weather update. Not what I imagined for myself 5 years ago, but there you go. And just when I thought I was done with odd little plot twists, that chess-playing, cheese-worshipping golden retriever? She actually won the city's Hero Dog Award after alerting us to a gas leak in our apartment complex. It's probably the wildest 30 seconds of my life. Alarms blaring, fire trucks outside, Willow losing her tiny dog mind at the cracked pipe by the laundry room. Turns out, she saved a few dozen people a miserable night in the ER. My ex, her partner, M, and I all met at the ceremony, which was surreal and weirdly healing. The mayor gave Willow a medal. M cried. My ex and I just looked at each other and nearly lost it laughing. Whoever said closure isn't real has never seen their ex's new partner ugly cry over a Labrador in a cape. Work-wise, things kept evolving. The music festival gig set off a domino effect. By sheer accident, one of the non-profit organizers, Reminder, the poker guy, referred my repairs to his friend, who happened to manage a bunch of local acts. I now get a few touring musicians a month popping by my little den to get their guitars revived, often with their own stories of heartbreak and weird instrument injuries. Someone once snapped a headstock because their teacup pig sat on it. I've been asked to restring backstage for artists I've idolized. For the first time, I actually half believe I'm good at what I do. The cherry on top? The Luthiers Guild offered me a tiny grant to start group guitar care workshops for at-risk teens. First session, 12 future rock stars, 1 banjo, and a very dramatic string snap that made a 14-year-old declare me the acoustic Thor. Sure, why not? But I promise drama, and honestly, the biggest crazy twist has been about my family. Out of nowhere, my estranged biological father, long story, whole trauma thing I barely referenced in the past, messaged me, not because he watched a video, but because someone sent him a local paper clipping. We hadn't spoken since high school. I sat on that message for weeks, haunted and weirded out and mad in ways I thought I'd buried with my old life. But my stepdad's death shifted me. I decided we should meet, just once. So this spring, at an uncomfortably expensive coffee shop, I sat across from the man who bailed when I was a kid and we talked for 4 hours. He apologized, awkwardly, imperfectly, but he tried. He watched some videos. He saw Willow. We're not suddenly close. But we're talking, and weirdly, it made me appreciate even more the family that chose me, Norman, my mom, my ex, yes, still, and the patchwork crew I've built. Speaking of crews, the Vegas music nonprofit not only pulled me into more events, but 2 weeks ago I juggled instruments at a fundraiser kids concert, and was filmed by a parent who insisted I looked just like Chris Jericho from WWE. 3 days later, I got stopped at a street fair by a gaggle of 7-year-olds. Guys, I cannot emphasize how not a pro wrestler I am, and how hard kids will fight for an autograph anyway. Relationship-wise? My girlfriend and I are talking seriously, even about rings, not diamond but maybe a custom silver one with engravings of guitars and dog paws. Yes, cheesy, but whatever. We're scouting apartments because we want a full yard for Willow. I've even gained a tiny amount of pet stepfather street cred with friends' kids. My best friend's wedding went off beautifully. I played him down the aisle with a John Prine song, still teared up, but just once this time. The final surprise? My ex's partner, M, was nominated for a Serious City Arts Award. And in a wild small world twist, I found out she'd secretly submitted one of my old short films to a festival panel that Norman's old colleagues run. I ended up a finalist and wrapped in a network of artists who frankly terrify me with their creative energy, but who have also pulled me back, gently, toward chasing my own art again. So, 2.5 years ago, my life vaporized. Now? I have a dog with a medal, a rapidly growing beard, thanks, anxiety, a ramshackle crew of friends and family old and new, repaired instruments everywhere, and the clear, if sometimes still tender, peace of knowing I landed somewhere good. If you're reading this and you're in the thick of grief, hang on. The plot canon will twist. Update 4. I keep telling myself these updates are over, that my life couldn't possibly surprise me any further, and then the universe hits me with a plot twist that has me reevaluating again who I am and what matters most. Seriously, if you ever feel like your story is careening off the rails, buckle up, here's what can happen when you embrace the chaos. Let's begin with the obvious headline. I was in a documentary. Yup, a whole CBC primetime doc called Second Strings, Second Chances. Some brilliant soul at the station who follows our YouTube channel slid into my DMs last fall. They were making a series about accidental local celebrities, healing after loss, and, of course, unexpected animals. Apparently, Willow's tambourine trance meme scored us instant cred in the viral companion genre. First, I said absolutely not. No way. But my girlfriend laughed, patted my shoulder, and pointed out that 90% of my life is now online anyway, so what's national TV? 5 interviews, 2 months of on-again off-again filming, a mic-pack disaster. I tripped over Willow and accidentally swore on a hot mic with 3 producers present. CBC, if you're reading, sorry / thanks for bleeping, and a couple dozen shots of me hunched over half-destroyed banjos. And yeah, we're in it. The premiere hit a few weeks ago. Watching myself on the big screen, talking about grief, healing, queerness, chosen family, and one-eyed golden retrievers, while my ex, her partner M, my girlfriend, my mom, and my biological father all sat together in the same row, it felt like finally stepping out of the debris and just owning it. Weirdest thing, my stepdad Norman's festival used the Doc's Vancouver segment for next year's opening gala. His colleagues hugged me right after. I haven't cried that hard in public, ever. But the Doc did more than bring my family together. The banjo dog guy nonsense has graduated to accidental spokesperson for Oddball Resilience. I've spoken at 3 high schools about creativity and recovery, and we did our first live podcast with a local music therapist. Willow was, perhaps predictably, more popular than either of us. And some wild dominoes, a major Canadian music retailer reached out about collaborating on a pilot guitar repair apprenticeship program for youth in foster care. The pay isn't much, but I'm suddenly a licensed mentor with 6 teens, some of who have been through more loss and change than I could ever comprehend. Teaching them to restring, refrit, or even smash and rebuild instruments together is more fulfilling than I imagined. And if you haven't watched 4 teens try to teach a traumatized retriever to conduct a ukulele orchestra, you're missing art. Willow is, as always, the dark horse star of this story. Since her gas leak heroics, she's been in a dog food commercial, she ignored the script and ate every prop, featured in a local pet calendar and, get this, subject of a street art mural, an actual mural, 12 feet high, on Main Street. Some university art students DM'd me for permission, then sent a photo 3 weeks later of her looming, cyclopean and glorious, above a donut shop. It is easily the most flattering drawing of anyone in the family. I sometimes walk by just for a laugh. Vancouver's gotten weird, man. Family milestones rolled in thick and fast. My girlfriend and I did do the ring thing, in the most us way possible, not a proposal, but matching hand-built, silver rings. She stamped a tiny dog paw and a quarter note inside. We took a ferry north for a week-long cabin trip, Willow and both cats included, because we don't know how to do normal. We hiked, wrote bad campfire songs, and finally had the overdue for years plan for the future talk. It's not all resolved, but home is wherever the music and critters are, and I can finally say I'm at peace with that sentence. The fact that my best friend's toddler calls both of us Uncle String and Annie Paw is just icing. But the real twist came, unexpectedly, from my ex. You knew this was coming, right? She and M got engaged, and invited us to the wedding. Not only that, but she asked if I'd play the same guitar Norman used to play at family gatherings as part of the ceremony, in his memory. I'll be honest, part of me panicked. There was a time, not long ago, when it would have cracked me open. But life does move, and healing isn't linear. I said yes, and it felt good. The wedding is this autumn in Stanley Park, under the cherry blossoms. We've been rehearsal jamming at their place, the 4 of us, which means stories, laughter, awkward nostalgia, and, maybe for the first time since the split, a pure, easy chemistry. It's not what I planned, but it's good. More than good. A quick whirlwind roundup of the other wildness. The Chris Jericho mix-up will not die. Last month, I was booked as a local judge for the Vancouver Battle of the Bands, walked in and was mobbed by 3 teenage metalheads who started chanting Y2J. Security had to step in. I now sign the occasional banjo slammer autograph. I fixed Sarah McLaughlin's guitar. Yes, that's Sarah. She heard about our workshops and showed up to a session, hung out for an hour, and left me with one of her battered tour acoustics. She's as nice as you'd hope, and also has really, really tough calluses. The channel is a full side hustle now. Merch, Patreon, Q&A nights, the whole 9. Our Willow t-shirts outsell my own face 100 to 1. My dad and I? Still careful, fragile steps, but we spent his birthday rebuilding a busted 12-string, shared more awkward nostalgia, and even got a maybe not horrendous selfie. Health, I ran my first 5K since my injury. Ugly running, but it counted. The therapist said if I wanted a tattoo to commemorate it, she'd come hold my hand. So, yeah, walk, run, stumble, repeat, right above the old scar, in my own handwriting. So, 2 years, 3 months since that patio conversation blew my old life to smithereens. Instead of bitterness or isolation, I'm busier, more grateful, and apparently, a minor folk hero to one-eyed goldens and disaffected teens. If you're here in the thick of it, reminder, again, there's stuff ahead, wild and shocking, but worth hanging around for. No endings, just new plot twists.